Welcome to the Behavior Code, the podcast that deciphers the patterns behind our actions. I'm your host, Gabriel.
And I'm Maria. Today we're tackling a big one, a concept that everyone understands is important, but almost no one actually masters. We're talking about why consistency is so rare.
Think about it. Everyone wants to be successful, whether that means getting in shape, building a business, starting a YouTube channel, you name it. We all have that desire.
Oh, 100%. We see the finish line, we see the person with the six-pack, or the YouTuber with 1 million subs, or the friend who launched a successful company, and we think, I want that. And we start. We buy the gym membership. We film that first video.
Right? And for a week, maybe two, we're on fire.
We're unstoppable. But then life happens. It gets boring, it gets hard, and that fire just fizzles out.
Exactly. And the gym pass gathers dust. The camera sits on the shelf. That's the gap we're talking about today. The gap between wanting something and consistently working for it.
And we're going to argue that consistency is actually it's rarer and more valuable than talent or intelligence or even luck.
That's a bold claim, but I think it's true. Talent is a great start, but the talented person who works in inconsistent bursts will almost always lose to the less talented person who just shows up every single day.
It's the tortoise and the hare, but for everything in life. We're all obsessed with being the hare, with these huge, flashy sprints of effort.
But success isn't a sprint. It's a marathon with no finish line you can see. And the only way to run it is one step at a time, over and over again. So, where do most of us go wrong? What's the first hurdle? And we glorify that sprint. The media tells stories about the overnight success, the breakout star. They don't show the 10 years of silent, consistent work that came before it. We're conditioned to see the result, not the process. This creates a completely unrealistic expectation of what it takes to succeed, and it sets us up for failure before we even begin.
I think it starts with what gets us off the couch in the first place. That big, beautiful, and ultimately totally unreliable thing we call motivation. And that failure feels personal. We think, maybe I just don't have the talent, or I'm not smart enough. We internalize the myth, and it kills our confidence before we've even had a chance to build the momentum that actually leads to success. We're comparing our chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. That's a huge mindset shift. It's not, this isn't working, it's, this is the part where it's supposed to be hard. It's about trusting the process. You have to believe in the compounding effect even when you can't see the evidence. You're planting seeds, but the harvest is months away. The valley of disappointment is just the time it takes for those seeds to germinate underground, hidden from view.
The motivation myth. This is probably the single biggest reason people fail to be consistent. They think they need to feel like doing something in order to do it.
Totally. It's like you watch a Rocky movie and suddenly you feel this overwhelming urge to go for a run at 5 a.m. and drink raw eggs.
Right. And that feeling is amazing. It's powerful. But it's also an emotion. And emotions are, by their very nature, temporary. They're fleeting. You can't build a long-term strategy on a feeling that might not be there tomorrow morning.
Exactly. It's like trying to power your car with lightning strikes. You might get a massive jolt of energy every once in a while, but it's not a reliable fuel source to get you across the country. For that, you need a steady supply of gas.
That's a great analogy. And in this case, the gas isn't motivation. It's systems. It's habits. People who are truly consistent don't wait until they feel motivated.
No, they just do it. It's Tuesday, so they go to the gym. It's 9 a.m., so they sit down to write. The feeling is irrelevant. The system is what matters.
The professional shows up to work whether they feel like it or not, and the amateur only works when they're inspired. And if you're waiting for inspiration, you're going to be waiting for a very, very long time. And there's a fascinating inversion that happens here. We think we need motivation to act, but more often, action creates motivation. The motivation isn't the cause, it's the effect.
So true. Motivation is the spark, But a system is the engine that keeps going long after the spark is gone. Relying on motivation sets you up for failure, because the moment you wake up and don't feel it, you give yourself permission to quit for the day.
And one day becomes two, and two becomes a week, and suddenly your new habit is, well, it's just a memory, a good intention.
So the first step is decoupling the action from the feeling. You don't have to want to do it, you just have to do it, which sounds simple, but it's incredibly hard. And that gets into the actual psychology of why we quit. And that's the graveyard of broken dreams, right? It's filled with good intentions that were powered by motivation alone. The problem is, we treat motivation like a renewable resource, but it's more like a birthday cake. It's great for a special occasion, but you can't live on it.
It really is, and I think part of the problem is that we've been sold this idea that passion is all you need. Follow your passion is the mantra, but passion, like motivation, is a feeling. It waxes and wanes. The people who succeed aren't the most passionate, they're the most disciplined. Yes, let's dig into the brain chemistry here because it's wired to work against long-term consistency.
Okay, so let's talk about the big one, dopamine. Everyone's heard of it. It's the feel-good chemical, right? Your brain releases it when you do something pleasurable.
More than that, it's the chemical of anticipation. It's what drives you to seek rewards. Your brain releases dopamine not just when you get the reward, but when you expect to get it.
Right. And here's the problem. Our modern world is an instant gratification machine. It's a dopamine slot machine. You post a photo, you get likes, boom, dopamine. You scroll TikTok, you see a funny video, boom, dopamine. You order food, it arrives in 30 minutes, boom, dopamine.
Easy, immediate, and reliable rewards. Now, compare that to the things that require consistency.
Like going to the gym. You go once, what's the reward? You're sweaty, you're sore, and you look exactly the same in the mirror. There's no immediate reward. The reward is, 6 months away, maybe?
And your brain, which evolved to prioritize immediate survival, it hates that deal. It's fundamentally lazy in a way. It's an energy conservation machine. Why would it choose the hard thing with a delayed, uncertain reward over the easy thing with an immediate, guaranteed reward?
It won't, not without a fight. You are literally fighting against millions of years of evolution every time you choose to work on a long-term project instead of scrolling through your phone.
And then there's the other enemy of consistency, boredom. Consistency is, by its very nature, repetitive. And our brains are novelty-seeking machines. We crave new information, new stimuli.
And our addiction to social media has put this on hyperdrive. We're used to a constant stream of new content, new images, new ideas. Our attention spans have shrunk. The idea of doing the same thing every day, even if it's good for us in the long run, feels like a prison to our novelty-seeking brains. Ugh, boredom is a killer. The third week of the same workout routine, the 50th video you've edited, the 200th sales call you've made. It's just not exciting anymore. The novelty is gone.
So you have this battle. Your brain wants easy, novel, instant rewards. Consistency offers hard, repetitive, delayed rewards. It's a rigged fight from the start.
So how do the winners win? How do consistent people overcome their own brain chemistry?
Well, this brings us to a really powerful mental shift. It's moving beyond feelings and systems and into identity.
Ooh, okay, unpack that. What do you mean by identity?
The most consistent people don't rely on feelings, and they don't even just rely on systems. They operate from a place of identity. They have changed the way they see themselves.
Okay, so give me an example.
There's a difference between someone who says, I'm trying to go to the gym, and someone who says, I'm a person who works out.
Right. It's subtle, but it's huge. One is an aspiration, the other is a fact about who you are.
Exactly. The person who is trying to do something is in a constant battle with themselves. Every day is a decision. Should I go to the gym today? I don't really feel like it.
But the person who identifies as a runner or a writer or an entrepreneur, the decision is already made. A runner runs, a writer writes. That's just what they do. It's part of their identity.
Hmm. It removes the daily negotiation with your feelings. You act in alignment with your identity, not in response to your temporary emotional state. You don't ask yourself, do I feel motivated to write today? You just tell yourself, I'm a writer, and this is my time to write.
So, how do you build that identity? You can't just snap your fingers and believe you're a world-class athlete.
You don't. You prove it to yourself with small wins. Every time you perform the action, you cast a vote for that new identity.
I love that. Cast a vote. So every workout is a vote for I'm an athletic person. Every page you write is a vote for I'm a writer.
Precisely. And at first, those votes are small. You might have years of evidence piled up for your old identity. But with enough consistent votes, the evidence starts to shift, the balance tips, and one day you wake up and you no longer have to convince yourself. You just are that person.
That's such a powerful reframe. It's not about achieving a goal, it's about becoming a type of person. The goal is just a byproduct of the identity.
It is. And a person with that identity doesn't quit when it gets hard, because quitting would be a betrayal of who they are.
Okay, so building that identity is crucial. But even people who identify as, say, a healthy eater can have a bad day and eat a whole pizza. You can't rely just on identity and willpower, can you? You have to set yourself up for success.
Absolutely not. And that leads to the next piece of the puzzle, environment design. Consistent people don't just have more willpower, they live in less tempting environments.
Yes, this is so key. They make the right choice, the easiest choice. It's about being a lazy genius.
It's what author James Clear calls reducing friction. You want to decrease the number of steps between you and the good habit and increase the number of steps between you and the bad habit.
Okay, so practical examples. For the gym habit, you lay out your gym clothes the night before. Your shoes are by the door, your water bottle is filled. You've reduced the friction to get out the door.
And to increase friction for a bad habit, let's say mindlessly scrolling your phone, you could delete the distracting apps or use an app blocker that forces a 60-second wait time before opening them.
That little bit of friction is often enough to make your brain go, ugh, never mind, and you go do something else. It's about making your environment work for you instead of against you. If you want to eat healthier, don't buy junk food. If you don't have it in the house, you can't eat it.
Right. You're automating good decisions through your environment. A consistent person's home or workspace often looks different. They have visual cues that prompt good habits and a lack of cues that prompt bad ones.
Like, if you want to read more, leave a book on your pillow. If you want to drink more water, put a giant water bottle on your desk. You're basically tricking your future lazy self into doing the right thing.
It's about acknowledging that willpower is a finite resource. It gets depleted throughout the day. You can't rely on it. But you can design an environment that doesn't require much willpower to navigate successfully.
It's so true. The most disciplined people I know aren't people who are better at resisting temptation. They're just better at avoiding it altogether. They've built a world around them where the path of least resistance leads to their goals.
Exactly. They're not fighting a battle every day. They've already won the war through careful planning.
Okay, so we've talked about ditching motivation for systems, fighting our brain's desire for instant gratification, building an identity, and designing our environment. But I think there's one more core concept people get wrong about consistency. They think it has to be big.
Yes, the go big or go home mentality. The idea that you need to do a 2-hour heroic workout or write 10 pages a day, or it doesn't count.
Right, and that's so intimidating. It makes it easy to just not start. The real secret weapon of consistency is something much smaller. It's the 1% rule.
The power of tiny gains. The idea that small daily improvements are infinitely more powerful than large, infrequent bursts of effort. If you get just 1% better each day, the results are, well, they're staggering.
It's the magic of compounding. It's like compound interest for your life. At first, you don't notice anything. 1% better today, you're still pretty much the same. A week of 1% improvements? Barely a dent.
And this is where people quit. They don't see the immediate results, so they think it's not working. But they're missing the exponential curve that's just around the corner.
Exactly. After a year of getting 1% better every day, you are not 365% better. You are almost 38 times better. The math is insane.
The same is true in reverse, too. Getting 1% worse every day, making one small bad choice, it compounds downwards until you're virtually at zero.
So it's about focusing on just showing up and making a tiny improvement. Can't do a full workout? Do 10 push-ups. Can't write a chapter? Write one paragraph. Can't meditate for 20 minutes? Meditate for 1 minute.
The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to never have a 0 day, to never break the chain of votes for your new identity. A small action is infinitely better than no action.
This is why consistency beats those flashes of motivation. That motivated person might go to the gym for 2 hours on Monday and then do nothing for the rest of the week. The consistent person just does 20 minutes every single day. Who do you think is in better shape after a year?
It's not even a competition. Slow and steady doesn't just win the race. It laps the person who sprinted at the start and then gave up.
And what's so cool is that this principle, this power of showing up and making small, consistent efforts, it works everywhere. It's like a universal law of success.
Absolutely. Think about any field of human endeavor. Business, for instance. A business isn't usually built on one brilliant idea. It's built on 1,000 small improvements. One more sales call, one better customer service interaction, day after day.
Oh, or relationships. A great marriage isn't built on one grand romantic gesture a year. It's built on the daily habit of listening, of being kind, of saying, I love you when you leave for work.
YouTube, which we mentioned earlier. The successful creators aren't necessarily the ones with the most talent or the best gear. They're the ones who kept posting videos, week after week, even when only 10 people were watching. They stayed in the game long enough for luck to find them.
Finance is the most obvious one. Consistently investing a small amount of money over a long period of time, that's how you build real wealth, not by trying to time the market or find one lucky stock.
In every one of these domains, the pattern is the same. The process is boring and repetitive. The results are delayed. But the outcome is almost inevitable. Consistency beats talent when talent isn't consistent.
It really is the master key, isn't it? If you can master the skill of being consistent, you can pretty much apply it to learn or achieve anything else.
I believe so. It's the meta skill that unlocks all other skills.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. We've laid out the case for why it's the most important trait for success, but we started with the premise that it's incredibly rare. So let's end there. Why is it so rare if it's this, this magic formula?
Because everything that makes it effective is also what makes it unappealing to our modern brains. First, as you said earlier, Maria, it's boring.
It's so boring. There's no glamour in doing the same small thing over and over again. It's not a sexy transformation montage from a movie. It's just Tuesday, and you're doing the thing again.
Second, it's repetitive. Our brains crave novelty, and consistency is the opposite of novelty. It's a grind, and grinding doesn't release a lot of that easy dopamine.
And maybe the biggest reason? The results are invisible at first. For weeks, maybe months, you're putting in the work and you see nothing. No change, no rewards. You're working entirely on faith in the process.
And that is where almost everyone gives up. They are standing on a gold mine, but they stop digging 3 feet from the gold because it's hard work and they haven't found anything yet.
We are so conditioned for immediate feedback. When we don't get it, we assume what we're doing isn't working. But consistency is a long game. The feedback loop isn't minutes, it's months or years.
So, to summarize, consistency is rare because it requires you to ignore your feelings, rewire your brain's reward system, fight boredom, and work for a delayed payoff that you can't see for a long time.
When you put it like that, it's no wonder so few people manage it.
And this is the final crucial point. It is the closest thing to a guaranteed formula for success that exists. Talent can fail, luck can run out, a great idea can be copied.
But the person who just keeps showing up, who keeps casting one more vote for their identity, who keeps making that 1% improvement, they are almost impossible to stop.
The challenge then isn't to be brilliant, it's just to be the one who doesn't quit.
That's all for this episode of The Behavior Code. Thank you so much for listening. We hope this gives you a new perspective on how to tackle your biggest goals.
If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review or sharing it with a friend. You can find more resources on our website, thebehaviorcode.com. Until next time, focus on that 1%.